Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is Gratitude Shift Wednesday. It is Gratitude Shift Wednesday, and we're talking about obstacles this morning. The obstacles that we face when we are trying to navigate our obstacles, right? So, we're talking about seizing control of our life with the plan and truly how to act in purpose, right? How to really navigate um our plan, and the plan was to prioritize your values, to understand the universal laws, to act in purpose. And then this last one is really how to navigate obstacles, you guys. And so I want you to think about, where do you fear making the wrong decisions? All right, where do you fear making the wrong decisions? And where in your life do you say, I don't know, but deep down you do? Deep down you do. Today's title: the fear of getting it wrong when indecision becomes the detour. Why am I doing this session this morning? Because I know what it feels like to overthink every decision, right? Not because you don't know what to do, okay, but because you're terrified, because you're terrified of choosing wrong. All right. This session is about interrupting the fear that says one decision could ruin everything. We're making peace this morning with our choices, all right, by eliminating risk. We're making peace this morning with our choice, not by eliminating risk, you guys, but by trusting the wisdom that grows with our movement, that grows with our movement. Who is this disclaimer for this morning? Listen, this session will help you become aware of where fear is holding your decisions hostage. All right. But clarity doesn't come from just thinking, you guys. It comes from movement. I want you guys to know that clarity doesn't come from thinking, it comes from movement. Gratitude isn't about being happy with your choices, right? It's about honoring the fact that you get to choose again. All right. And when we move beyond the surface of excuses and acts, what am I really afraid of? Guess what? We stop managing appearances and really start healing our core beliefs. Okay. And that is so important. Good morning, big brother, big little brother. Okay. Listen, how is this connected to day one and day two? On day one, we talked about the stories, right? We asked, what stories tell you, or I asked you, what stories tell you to play small or to wait for permission. And those stories become really these silent architects, right, in your decision paralysis, right, in your decision making paralysis. On day two, we talked about triggers, right? We uncovered the emotional landmines, right? These landmines that cause hesitation when you try to choose differently. All right, but today's lesson meets those stories and triggers head on and says, look, let's stop managing fear and start transforming it. All right. We're not just naming the obstacle, you guys, we're identifying the story and the emotional root, because it is so it is we're identifying the story and the emotional root behind it, so that your decisions come from peace, not programming. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Listen, we're back at another life lesson, and it is Gratitude Shift Wednesday, right? And we know on Wednesdays we talk about what? The obstacles, right? And it's so interesting that we're talking about the obstacle that comes with the obstacle, right? With navigating our obstacles. Um, Welcome back to Life Lessons with Dr. Sheila Little, the creator of the Stop It Now method. All right, if you're new here, I'm Dr. Sheila Little. All right, and on this Gratitude Shift Wednesday, we're talking about the sneaky, obstacle, right? The fear of making the wrong decisions. All right, not because you're reckless, but because you're carrying the weight of decisions that didn't go as planned. All right, because you're carrying the weight of decisions that didn't go as planned. All right. Today, we want to release that pressure and really reclaim the power of purpose driven choices. All right. But before we dive in, let's scan our bodies. All right. Let's feel our feet on the floor. I said I wanted to start bringing some compassion for ourselves into every session, because we've been on a long journey together. We have we've been on a long journey together, but you've been in this body, in this journey. So let's get present in it, feeling our feet on the floor with some compassion and love, right? Really grounding ourselves. If you are comfortable with grounding yourself, you can kind of feel like either water falling off your feet or, branches or something just grounding you into this magnificent world, okay? Connecting you to something bigger than you. And then we're going to come up our legs, all right. All right. We're going to fill our butts in the seats. Okay. Our thighs, giving our thighs gratitude. Our thighs is our the biggest muscle, right? And so we definitely want to make sure that we keep those healthy and strong. Up our torsos, bringing some compassion and love into, every organ, all of our nerves, up our spine, right? Just giving it gratitude and love on this morning. Our heart space, just feeling our hearts beat, right? Feeling the love pump, feeling the blood flow, our lungs, right? That's taking in breath and releasing breath. I think it's so beautiful that, good morning, Mariah. I think it's so beautiful that we have this connection where we're breathing in, um, we're breathing in oxygen, right? And then we transmute that and we give it something and we change that to something else that the universe needs, right? That the world really needs, right? These are the trees and the plants really need that. All right. So giving that space to our lungs for helping us to breathe. All right. Up our necks. This is what we call our throat chakra, right? And a lot of us have closed throat chakras, right? Because we haven't been able to speak our truth. So let's just bring some love and some compassion and some forgiveness to that space. Our shoulders, which I like to focus on because we carry a lot of tension in our shoulders. So let's just, give ourselves the chance to really get present in our shoulders, feeling that weight of life just lift away. Because guess what? It's a brand new day. It's a brand new day, and we can let go of the yesterdays. We can let them go. All right, down our arms, our muscles, our elbows, right? Our forearms and our hands. Again, we're going to activate these hands to move, to do some things that we probably have to have some analysis paralysis with, or we probably face some obstacles with. So let's activate our hands. And then let's thank our hands, right, for making the meals, for, hugging and loving on people, for lotioning our bodies, right? Let's give our hands some compassion and some love this morning. Okay. And then up our necks, in our faces, right? Let's give our faces some compassion. I think a lot of times we can judge how we look, our lips, our nose, our eyes. But on this morning, let's give it some compassion. Our teeth, our tongue, right? Let's feel our tongues in our mouth. Let's feel the air go up our nose, right? And then activate our brain, right? Right. Activate our brain and then connect our brain to our hearts, right? And then our hearts to our feet, to the soles of our feet, right? And then bring that back up to our hearts just with love and compassion, right? And back to our brains, right? Just active and present on this morning so we can receive this life lesson all about obstacles, the obstacles that we face when we're navigating obstacles, right? When we're navigating the obstacles that come with this thing called life, okay? And then the space around us, right? The space around us. Let's just give our skin like some gratitude and some love on this morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Listen, before we dive into this lesson, drop a word in the chat. Let me know how you're feeling today. All right, no judgment, just awareness. Okay, let's move some of that energy. So, how are you feeling this morning? I'm feeling good this morning. I am feeling good this morning. I got the response back that my dissertation is published, right? I turned in my information to get my good morning, Pep. I turned in the information to get everything done with the dissertation. So they're going through this audit process. And even though, I know that I've taken all the classes that I needed to take, it's still that feeling, right? Of, oh, I'm doing this. What if they come up with something? You know what I mean? And it's just a natural fear, right? That comes with moving forward. But there's also this excitement. There's also this excitement that comes with it. So I'm feeling good this morning. um, yeah, yeah. So who is this session for this morning? Listen, this session is for you if you avoid decisions out of fear of regret. All right. This session is for you if you made safe choices instead of aligned ones. Pep said he's feeling dull this morning. Okay, Pep. You know, so dull. So last week you were neutral. So today is dull. Okay. All right. Dull reminds me of, like like this block, that math, the math emoji, just like I'm just here. All right. But recognize that, right? Just bring some gratitude to that space, right? Because maybe that's the space that you need to be in to even move forward, to activate. And you already know, and I'll tell everybody this, because you feel dull, right? There's a sharpness that exists in this moment to you. Okay. There's a sharpness, right? How do I know that? Because of the law of polarity, right? Because of the law of polarity. So be aware with that, have some compassion for your dullness this morning, and let's keep it moving, and keep loving on yourself, okay? All right. So who is this session for? Again, it's for you if you avoid decisions, right, out of fear of regret. If you made safe choices instead of aligned ones, all right, what does that look like? I'm doing this to stay safe, even though I would like to do something different. I'm a do this, right? You keep waiting for a sign when what you really need is self trust. This is a big one, right? So a lot of us is waiting for this sign from God and all of that. And it really has nothing to do with God. It really just has to do with you trusting yourself and also stepping in faith. All right. I don't think we realize how important faith is in the journey of seizing control of our life. Okay. Faith is so important and the vision is so important because we're going to be stepping outside our comfort zone. We're going to be doing things that we never done before. And because of that, then there's a space of uncertainty, right? There's this space of uncertainty. And in that space of uncertainty, we have to be willing to, you guys, I think that my body is healing from something. So if you see me like, rub my nose, it's because my body is healing. Okay. So a lot of times, I mean, faith is so important on our journey because as we expand, there's this level of uncertainty, right? And so we insert faith there. Okay. We insert faith there. So again, this session is for you if you keep waiting for a sign when you really need self trust. Okay. And if you internalize past mistakes as proof that you can't be trusted, all right, if you've internalized past mistakes as truth that you can't be trusted, listen, overall, this session is for you if you fear, if fear of failure has become the author of your future, all right, if the fear of failure has become the author of your future, why this session matters. Why does it matter? This is the emotional, intersection of decision making, right? The fear of choosing wrong, not because you don't know what to do, but because you're afraid of regret, right? You don't want to disappoint others. You're haunted by your past mistakes and you feel like the wrong move would just blow up everything. All right. This fear becomes an obstacle really disguised as wisdom, right? It becomes an obstacle that's truly defined as wisdom, but really it's just paralysis, you guys. It is paralysis in perfectionism. It is just paralysis in perfectionism's closing, right? I want to wait for the right time. I want to wait for the right time. I want to wait for the right time, right? Listen, fear can sound smart, but it never leads to peace. All right. That's how we know we're in fear because there's this emotional kind of like angst and like feeling about it, right? So wisdom, right? It's still an uncertainty to wisdom, right? It's still a like I don't know what's going to happen, but there's a soundness on the inside. There's this kind of like I don't know what's going to happen, but I know I'm okay, right? Like or this peace beyond understanding. Like, yep, it seemed like the wrong decision, but I'm gonna go with it, right? There's kind of like some certainty in how you feel. But when we're moving in fear and we're disguising it as wisdom, right? We know because there's some angst underneath that. There's some nervousness underneath that. And not the kind like the excitement, because I do feel like angst and excitement is kind of like the same side of the coin. But this is like the indecision, like, should I make that choice? Okay. Right. And we mature into that level of wisdom through movement, through choices, all right, through discernment, right? We mature to a level of wisdom, okay, because as we act, we start to take that information and that information provides us data back that this too shall pass, everything is going to be okay, right? And we start to trust and believe that. Okay. And if you're not trusting yourself with the decisions of your life, if you've allowed fear to make decisions in your life, if you play small in your life, 9 times out of 10, you probably are not making, like, in a sense, wise decisions. Is probably fear. Now here's the thing, that's okay, but it's good for you to know and ask the questions, right? Ask the questions. Here's the gratitude shift for today. The moment you stop fearing the wrong decision, right? The moment you stop fearing the wrong decision, you really start thanking the process for shaping your wisdom. All right. Every and Let me say that again. The moment you stop fearing the wrong decision and start thanking the process for shaping your wisdom, everything changes. Okay? Everything changes. Even if it doesn't work, right? I'll work it. This is like the gratitude shift. Even if this doesn't work, I'll work it, right? Even if it's not perfect, I'm still progressing. I trust myself to grow, not just get it right. Right? I trust that this decision, right, wrong, or indifferent, is going to provide me with the information that I need to what? To move forward in my life. Listen, God doesn't require perfection. All right. God does not require perfection. He invites participation. Okay. It's this participatory act that we're having with ourselves, with this divinity that's within us. Okay. The step you take in trust is more powerful than the decision you overthink in fear. Okay. I want to say that again. The step you take. Good morning, Miss Jackie, and happy Wednesday to you as well. All right, listen, the step you take and trust is way more powerful than the decision you overthink and fear. All right, here's a real talk to remember. All right, what if the wrong decision, right, is still the right decision for your development? What if the wrong decision is still the right decision for your development? All right, here's our guiding thought for today. Indecision is still a decision. Okay, indecision is still a decision, and guess what? It's costing you your clarity. All right, it's costing you your clarity. I knew a woman in one of my coaching programs who shared this. After a bad breakup, I stopped trusting my own judgment. Every decision since, from relationships to career, felt paralyzed. Feels paralyzing, right? I keep asking everyone else what they think. Not because I don't know, but because I don't trust myself not to choose wrong again. All right. Because I don't trust myself not to choose wrong again. So she was looking for other people to tell her what to do because she had judged the decisions in her relationships. Like, I must choose that man. I must not have a good, radar or whatever. So I'm going to delegate the responsibility of who I should be with someone else. Listen, the fear wasn't about the choice, you guys. It was about the consequence of another disappointment. All right. Once she began practicing gratitude, not for the pain, but for the lesson, it really shifted everything, right? She stopped outsourcing her decisions and really started reclaiming her discernment. Not perfectly, though, but powerfully, okay? You don't get more clarity by doing nothing. All right. You don't get more clarity by doing nothing. You get more clarity by walking through it with wisdom, right? With what you learned. All right. And a lot of us are not really taking the lessons, which again is why we're repeating the same situation over and over again, right? We're entering it with fear, the what ifs, all of the things that could go wrong. We're thinking about all of the things that could go wrong. We make the decision, and guess what we experience? All the things that could go wrong, right? Which then make us what? Not trust our decision again, right? And so that cycle just continues and continues till we just give up. You know what? I'm just not going to make any more decisions. I'm going to either be single, I'm just going to stay at this job. Whatever it is, you've decided to sit there, right? When life is calling you for something different. All right. So here's our heart check in this morning. What is one decision? I want you to ask yourself, what is one decision I've been avoiding because I don't trust myself to really handle the outcome? All right. What is one decision that I've been making that I've been avoiding because I don't trust myself to handle the outcome. What excuse? And then the second one is, what excuse do I tend to repeat? And what emotion might be hiding underneath that? All right, I want you to think about that as we go through today's life lesson. Listen, here's the truth. You don't fear the decision. You actually fear the consequence of disappointing someone or yourself. All right. For so many people, especially those who are people pleasers, over responsible caretakers and raised in high stake environments, right? The obstacle isn't the decision itself. All right. It's the emotional fallout of hurting someone, right? Being misunderstood, looking selfish. It's a big one. Looking selfish or wrong, losing love or approval or status. All right. In this life lesson, all right, it's really there to uncover this emotional entanglement. You remember when Jada said we're in an entanglement? Okay. It really is to gently uncover this emotional entanglement, right? Where in your decision making, I want to ask you, where in your decision making do you still carry someone else's voice and someone else's expectation? Listen, I was working with a client yesterday, and so we have been working on her starting to really just get back in her body and feel her emotions, right? That's kind of the yeah I let me say this. I feel like I'm like Mr. Miyagi. All right. You know how Mr. Miyagi in Karate Kid, right? He like wax on, wax off, stand the thing, and you and you remember how Karate Kid got so upset, right? Like, listen, I want to do karate and you teaching me how to, wax on, wax off, and do all of this stuff, right? And then when it came to fight, Mr. Miyagi was like, wax on. So I do feel like my gift as a life coach and as a therapist has always been the Miyagi effect. All right. And so with this individual, I'm really Miyagi-ing her, right? To really get back in touch with her emotions. So anyway, she has this great week, right? She's now not reacting to life. She's choosing how she's going to respond. Life ain't changing. The relationship ain't changing. Her kids are not changing, right? And so guess what? That peace that she started to feel inside, she started to hear again, right? And one of the things that came up for her was this question of who am I? Right? She was in an interview and she was asking the person, what are their strengths and what do they bring to the job and things like that. And she heard her own voice ask her the same thing. All right. And that was a breakthrough because she had done many interviews, but she had never really had this reflection for herself. And guess what it did? It scared her, right? So she was like, listen, I had this great week. Like, I don't even want to go into this space of thinking about, like, who am I and all of that. So really, I'm just like, no, you know what I mean? I'm not going to answer that call anymore. And so as we unpack that with this Miyagi effect, we talked about this house, her house, like this house that she had inherited from birth, right? And I'm telling you this analogy because I want you to think about your life like this. You inherited a home at birth, all right? A home, all right? Now, in your mind, your home looks like what? The home that you would have inherited at birth. Mine would have been like a big mansion with like 10 bedrooms and a bathroom in each bedroom, and like in the in the living room, a nice big kitchen, right? That is what my house would have in my mind, I would have inherited. So, what would your house look like? I want you to think about that, okay? Now, you get to your house that you inherited, and it looks like the Adams family. The Adams family house is like cloth everywhere, dust everywhere, right? It's kind of like this resistance that we have like, no, this is not the house that I want to inherit. It's just too much work, right? And every time we go back to this home to clean it up, right? We get this overwhelming feeling because it's not what I expected. It's not what I thought. Does that make sense? If that makes sense, put a one in the chat for me. All right. So I asked her, okay, so you get to the home. So what we unpacked was that What if it's not what I want? Okay. So what if I start asking myself questions about me and and it comes up and it's something that I don't want, or it's something that I fear, or something that's overwhelming. That's like her coming to our house, and this house that she inherited, now she got the keys to her life. And it's like, yeah, this is too much. This is too much for me to do. All right. So we talked through that process. And as we're talking, right, she gets emotional because I'm like, okay, so what do you do? Do you walk away from the house? Right? Or what do you do? She like, I started to clean it up. I'm like, because it's your home, right? This has been inherited to you. Like you had it from birth. Your ancestor, which is the creator of all things, gave this to you, right? So what do you do? And she said, I'll start cleaning, right? And I'm like, right, because that is the thing. The structure is there. All right. All you need to do is change the colors on the wall and figure out how to do things. Like we can rebuild this house. Now, will it take work? Absolutely, right? But I mean, will it take work? Absolutely, it's going to take work. But here's the thing about it, right? We don't want to do that work. We want the house, right? We want our life to be already prepared for us. We want our life to be we want to just have no resistance, right? We want to be able to walk in and everything is set up, and that's just not life. And if you saw my post this morning in the Elevating Life group, for those who are in there, she talks about this belief, right, that life is not, that at some point in life it's not supposed to give you any resistance. All right, so as we unpack that, right, what why am I talking about it right now? Because I talked about that people don't fear the decision, they fear the consequence of disappointing someone else. One of the things that we have to recognize too is that when we go to this house, other people mess is in there. Okay. Sometimes your mama mess, your grandmama mess, inherited mess, right? That you got to clean up. And she said something that was so powerful to me. And I really applauded her for this. She said, but what if I don't want to let their stuff go? What if I don't want to pack their stuff up and put it on the curb? Because that would be cleaning the house. And so we talked about this fear of hurting them, right? This fear of being misunderstood, this fear of, feeling selfish because now she's going to make her home, you know what I mean? Which is her life for her. And she struggled really with this kind of like fear of this emotional entanglement of really choosing other people over herself, right? And so I just said that there. That's fine. That's a good feeling. Let's kind of stop and think about it then. Let's think about it some more and process. And I want you to think about it because a lot of us are not making decisions, not because we don't know what to do, but we fear when we do that thing, the cost of it. All right, losing a loved one, losing approval, losing status, hurting someone, and ultimately hurting ourselves. All right. Number two, the indecisions is often a form of self protection. All right. And so this fear of making this decision is really a form of self protection. Listen, most people delay decisions because of the emotional risk, not because the logical uncertainty. All right. It's this emotional risk that we feel that we're taking. All right. All right. Listen, the truth is that you don't know that you do know what you want. All right. But choosing it means risking something. No. All right. Love, identity, an image, a relationship with a person, place, or thing. Right. Listen, you're not confused. You're not confused. You're scared that the clarity might cost you something. All right. But what if not choosing, right, is costing you more, right? What if not choosing is costing you more? And I think that that is the whole idea of really navigating the obstacles that come with life, because these are the decisions that we have to make, and those decisions do come at a cost. And every time I work with a client and they say like, I don't know, or I just don't want to feel bad, or I just don't want to feel sad, and it's just like, but you're feeling bad and sad now. What's the difference if you make the decision and feel bad or sad. And it's the micro emotion that comes with the decision. Now I feel bad about feeling bad. Or now I feel bad about feeling happy. Now I feel bad about feeling fulfilled. Now I feel bad about choosing me. All right. Does that make sense? If that makes sense, put a two in the chat. All right, listen. The replay past decision. Oh, let me say this. You replay past decisions as proof that you're untrustworthy. All right. You replay past decisions as proof that you're untrustworthy. Okay, listen, you're not afraid of the decision. Again, you're still haunted by the last one that you made that didn't go how you planned. All right. So a lot of times we're not making the decision. The obstacle in navigating our obstacles is that we're afraid of the decision, right? We're not afraid of this decision. We're really haunted by what? By this past decision. We talked about triggers yesterday, right? And every time I go into this trigger, or every time I go into this emotion, I'm thinking about what happened before, right? And this is again why faith is so important, right? In being anchored in this future place, because I'm gonna move with the fear because I have faith with me. All right. So I want you to think about this. Um, this I want you to think about this one because it really becomes a time where you can emotionally release. Okay. You can start feeling like um you can start feeling some empathy for yourself. Listen, your past decisions, they really don't disqualify you. All right, your past decisions don't disqualify you. They actually refine you. You're not the same version of yourself that made that call, that made that decision. Life has brung you different experiences, and because you experienced that, just because you made that past decision, it shifted you. It shifted you and it changed you. So you're not the same person anymore. All right. But when we go back, it's as if we're stuck in this time loop, right? Where I made a decision at 20 and now at 40, I'm not making a decision because of the decision I made at 20. Well, you got 20 years of experience with this decision, right? You have a lot more wisdom. You have a lot more experiences that you can apply to this decision. Okay. So I want you to know again that that last decision, it doesn't disqualify you, it actually refines you. Okay. You're not the same version of yourself that made that call. So here's the thing. Gratitude isn't about being happy. Okay. It's not about being happy about the hard decisions. It's about being grateful that you now have awareness, you have maturity, and you have agency to make the decision. All right. To make the decision. All right. The version of you who was once frozen in fear, right, didn't have the wisdom that you have today. All right. So you can honor them, that version of you, and still choose differently now. Okay. And still choose differently now. All right. Listen, fear of making the wrong decision often comes from the belief that is fatal. Fatal. But gratitude, it actually reframes this journey. It says, even if it's not perfect, it will teach me something sacred. It will teach me something I need to know. It will teach me something more about myself. Okay. If you don't release this perfectionism or this need to be perfect, right, you will stay in paralysis. All right. But when you start trusting the process, all right, every decision becomes a part of your development. It becomes a part of your teaching. All right. So you have to stop needing permission, right, to kind of move forward. All right. All right. Or you have to start giving yourself permission to move forward. You become the person who says, all right, I may not know everything, but I trust who I am becoming. Listen, I may not know everything, but I definitely trust who I'm becoming. Listen, I knew a client that said to me, I was so scared to leave a toxic job because I thought I regret it. But once I did, I realized I wasn't scared of the job. I wasn't scared of the job. I was scared of becoming responsible for my own peace. All right. I wasn't scared to lead a job. I was just responsible of being responsible for my own peace. All right. Listen, studies show that individuals who practice post decision gratitude report higher emotional resilience. All right. Even after making mistakes. What's post decision gratitude? I made a decision and I'm going to go in after I make the decision and thank myself for making the decision. Thank you so much for making that decision. Right. I'm going to bring some gratitude in that. What did that teach me? All right. Listen, gratitude reduces cognitive dissonance and helps the brain really integrate lessons with more compassion. All right. All right. You are allowed to choose, you guys. You are allowed to choose. You are allowed to learn and you are allowed to grow. Okay. You are allowed to grow. If that makes sense, put a heart in the chat for me. All right. Listen, we know that the O in obstacles, I mean, the O in stop it now stands for obstacles. All right. And as a few obstacles are as heavy as the fear of messing up your life with one wrong move. All right. Let me read that again. And few obstacles are as heavy as the fear of messing up your life when things go wrong, right? Very few of the obstacles you face are as heavy as the fear that you're carrying right now of messing up when things go wrong. Listen, fear isn't your protector, gratitude is, right? It's a reminder that no matter what happens, you will rise from it with wisdom. You will rise from it with the lesson when you look for it. All right. So before I close, I do want to share these 7 truths that will really anchor your power in any obstacle. Okay. In any obstacle, because clarity isn't a one time thing, it's a muscle that's built over time. And again, I talked about this, the chiropractor, right? That you go back to get the alignment. Clarity is the same thing, right? It's like cleaning your window, thinking if I clean my window, it's going to stay clean. No, life is happening. So your window is going to get foggy again or it's going to get messed up again. And it's our job, right, to build the mental muscle and the habit to what? To keep seeking clarity. Keep seeking clarity. Okay. All right. So for number one, obstacles aren't the opposite of alignment, they're proof of it. All right. Obstacles aren't the proof of alignment, they're proof of it. Most of you have been taught if it's hard, maybe it's not meant to be. All right. If it's hard, maybe it's not meant to be. Listen, the reality of it is that resistance often rises when you're close to transformation. All right. That resistance often happens when you're close to transformation. So here's the mindset shift for this. Maybe I'm doing, go from maybe I'm doing something wrong to maybe I'm finally doing something right. Listen, ease is again how we do a thing, how we do a thing. I can do this with ease, right? To lift 250 pounds, that's not easy. But we see people who have the mental muscle to do that, they do it with ease. You know, LeBron James, he's 40 years old. Again, I'm giving these extreme things because I think they tie in. LeBron James, he's almost 40 years old. It's not easy to dunk a ball and do the twists and turns, but he does it what with ease. It's not easy to shoot a shot from the middle, from half court, but we see Stephen Curry do it with ease, right? So it's not easy. It's not about being easy. It's learning how to do it with ease. And ease is like the confidence. It's like the assurance, right? I'm going to try this. I may get it wrong, right? It's like the flow. Okay. So so I want you to know that the mindset shift is maybe I'm doing shifting from maybe I'm doing something wrong to maybe I'm finally doing something right. Okay. Listen, number two, obstacles don't block you. All right. They expose what's been blocking you internally. All right. Listen, obstacles do not block you. They actually expose what has been blocking you internally. Listen, obstacles are mirrors. All right. They're old beliefs. They reveal old beliefs. They reveal emotional triggers. They reveal performance habits. They reveal control patterns, and they reveal this fear of being seen or failing. All right. So I want you to know that the obstacle is rarely in the way. It is the obstacle is rarely in the way. It is the way though to deeper healing. Okay. It is the way to deeper healing. The obstacle is rarely in the way. What we perceive as an obstacle is a mirror, a light shining back on something that we need to either strengthen, that we need to get more clarity about, we need to make more aligned decisions with, right? It's these places where growth, where the potential for growth is there. All right. And what is potential unlocked, right? This kind of, a bomb has the potential what? To blow up a whole city. But it ain't blowing up the city sitting here, right? But it has the potential to do that if you what? If you light it. All right. So we have so much potential, right? In us, and the friction, right, the friction that the obstacle is doing is really helping us to what? To expose that potential, to activate that potential. All right, to activate the potential within us. Right, when I first made Shaping Solutions, that was my tagline: unlock your potential. Unlock your potential. I remember being younger in my 20s, and I used to always hear, like, you have so much potential, you have so much potential, you just have so much potential. And I took it as a compliment in the beginning. And I got to school and I looked up the word potential and it said unused, right? Like unused. And so when people started to see me and they say, you have so much potential, I'm saying, I used to ask back, so what am I not doing? Right? So where is the potential that you see that is not being activated? What do you see that I don't see? So I can go activate that thing, right? Because here's the thing. People sometimes, and I was diligent about having mentors and things like that, but sometimes people can see in you what you can't see in yourself, right? And I wanted to be curious enough to know, like, what is this thing you see that I ain't seeing that I need to activate, right? And then I can make a decision from there. Just because you said it don't mean I'm gonna do it, but I would like to see what you see or recognize in me that I'm not activating. All right. All right. Number three, every obstacle brings up a choice. All right. Protect your past or pursue your purpose. Those are the two choices, right? So every time you're faced with an obstacle, which you perceive as an obstacle, right? It's bringing up two choices. Either I'm going to protect my past or I'm going to pursue my purpose. All right. Listen, the tension that you feel could be coming from these type of comments, right? Do I keep my peace or do I speak up? All right. Do I shrink or do I stretch? Right? Do I repeat the old role or do I choose my real voice? All right. Here's the thing: obstacles don't break you. They don't break you, right? They bring you to the brink of your breakthrough, though. Okay, to that breakthrough. All right. One of the things I talked to my client, the client I was telling you about, is that she came up on this obstacle, the obstacle of, who am I, right? Which is scary for a lot of people, right? To really ask this very clarifying question. It's so mysterious, right? And she said, I just had a good week, right? So she wanted to preserve what she just had experienced in that week, this last week. So she didn't want to interrupt that. So when it was choose, when it was choose to shrink or choose to stretch, in a sense, she was like, "No, I want to keep my old self. I want to keep, what I had this week." And I feel like if I go into that part of me, like it's going to disrupt everything. So I'm gonna choose, kind of to not do it. And I said, but what if this week, right, directionally, like you're walking through a forest, and this week what you experienced, you needed it because when you enter this next phase of your life, you need to know what this week's experience, what this week felt like or feels like. So when you go into the chaos, you know how to choose, right? You know how to respond and not react. And what if this week was a week for you to practice responding and not reacting? So when it's time for you to choose you, you know how to step back and respond and not react. What if it's just there? And what if you needed that to hear your voice and what you're taking and holding on to, which was supposed to be a step in the process, you're holding on to it and not really using it as a stepping stone, but you're using it as something to really block you. Okay. And we unpack that because I do think that we can experience something that feels good, but really is there to show us, to teach us something. And because we know, like, listen, if I go have this conversation, it's going to disrupt this, it's going to cause some disruption. But maybe the experience of peace, maybe the experience of stability was for your mind to anchor in that. So even in the chaos, you can be reminded that what stability is going to come. I've experienced it, not because I need to go back to stability, but I have the ability to create stability. All right. I created it before and I can create it again. Right. And that's where we extend ex- that's where we have our faith. All right. That's where we extend faith. Okay. Number four, your patterns shape how you respond to the obstacles. All right. So people don't respond to reality, you guys. Listen, you really respond to rehearsed behaviors. All right. People often overfunction, hustle harder, and people's functions often are like I need to overfunction, I need to hustle harder, I need to control the outcome, right? And I need to withdraw emotionally. Okay, here's what I want you to think. Am I reacting from a habit or responding from alignment? All right, am I acting from a habit or responding from alignment? Because here's the thing. Number five, your inner dialogue really determines your outer decisions. So what you say to yourself in the middle of an obstacle, it really shapes what you do next. Okay. So if the trigger says you will always mess up, or you're too emotional, or you're not ready, guess what? That's going to shape the decision you make. So when that inner chatter comes up, because it will, what I want you to do is align your inner talk with something like, this is tough, but so am I. This is tough, but so am I. I'm allowed to grow through this, not prove myself in it. Okay. I'm allowed to grow through this, but not prove myself in it. All right. Good morning, Tiana. All right. Listen, number six, God doesn't remove all obstacles. Okay. God does not remove all obstacles. It's a part of the plan. But he will refine you through them. All right, he will refine you through them. Listen, spiritual or divine power is not about the absence of struggle. It's really about the presence of peace in the struggle. All right, it's about this presence of peace, this knowing, right, in the struggle. All right, you're not navigating life alone. That's what I talked about last night, right? You carry a divine strategy, this discernment and this identity in every step that you're taking. All right, and the last one, number seven, you are not the obstacle. Okay, you are not the obstacle. You are the person that's overcoming it. You are the person that will overcome it. You are the person who has overcome it. And you are the person that will continue to overcome the what? The obstacle. Listen, when it gets hard, many people start to internalize the obstacle as a personal failure. Here's what I want you to know: who you are from what I want you to know the difference and be able to separate who you are from what you're facing. All right. Those are two different things. Who you are and what you're facing are two different things. All right. And I want you to know that your worth, I want you to know the difference between your worth and the weight you're carrying. All right. Those are two different things. All right. The storm doesn't define you, you guys. It's how you stand in the storm that defines you. All right. The what you're facing doesn't define you. It's really how you respond to it. All right. All right, obstacles don't stop your destiny. They actually activate your decision to finally live it. All right, they activate your decision to finally live in it, to sit in it. All right, the version of who once froze in fear. All right, you have or you didn't have that wisdom today. All right. You didn't the version of you that chose to freeze in fear, that's not who you are today. Okay. Again, you can honor them, right? And choose differently now. And choose differently now. Put a heart in the chat if that makes sense. Okay. Put a heart in the chat if that makes sense. Let's go into our biblical wisdom on this morning. Proverbs 3, 5 and 6. Listen, trust the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding. Trust the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding. Listen, you don't need all the answers. All right. You need alignment with the peace that surpasses overthinking, that suppresses overthinking. All right. That surpasses overthinking. All right. You don't need all the answers. You need alignment with the peace that surpasses all overthinking. All right. Listen, this verse is often quoted, but rarely lived deeply. All right. Especially when the fear of making the wrong decision keeps you paralyzed. All right. What this verse really offers is an invitation to really surrender control. All right. Not clarity. It's to surrender the control, not clarity. It doesn't say don't understand. It said don't lean to your own understanding as the only source of truth. All right. It doesn't say don't understand. It says don't lean to your own understanding as the only source of truth. So, what does this mean practically? I can move even when I don't have it all figured out because I trust that the wisdom of God in me will shape my path as I walk, right? I'm trusting that as I'm moving, that the information is going to come. When my understanding says, no, don't do that, you don't have all the answers, when my understanding says, this is scary, this is whatever, right? I'm not going to lean to my own understanding. All right? I still have an understanding of the situation, but I'm not going to lean to it. I'm going to trust that the wisdom of the God, the divinity within me is what always working for my good, right? And it's shaping my path as I walk. All right. This is divine co creation, right? This is divine relationship. All right. You act and alignment follows. All right. It reminds you that spiritual truth is not passive, it's active surrendering, right? You don't need every answer to begin. You just need to align with the peace. The peace of what? The peace of what this scripture is reminding you of, that trust God or trust the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways, submit to him, and he will what? Make your path straight. Okay? And he will make your path straight. Okay? I'm sorry. Okay. So trust the Lord in all with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding. In all ways, submit to him and he will make the path straight. And here's the thing that we do. We are making moves from our own understanding, right? So although we hear that verse and we've heard it a lot, right? We still go back and we try to control the outcome, and we're making decisions based off of a last decision that I made. And and we're bringing all our own judgments and all of that, and that's fine because that's what the mind was created to do. That's what your brain was created to do. But that's your own understanding. So do not lean to your own understanding. All right, to only your own understanding, right? Trust that there's a divinity in you. All right. Our principle, oh, let me see. Why? Okay, our promise verse. Okay, again, I'm gonna do this one. Whether you turn to the right or to the left, your ears will hear a voice behind you saying, "This is the way, walk in it." All right. Again, I've said this verse a lot because I want you to really understand. This is Isaiah 30 and 21. God's voice is not the loudest. Okay, God's voice is not the loudest, but it is the most consistent. All right, it is the most consistent, and it's not about perfection, it's about presence. All right. So whether you turn to the right or to the left, your ears will hear a voice behind you saying, "This is the way, walk in it." This is confirmation, right? This is confirmation. Uh, this is the confirmation that many people long for, but often wait to hear before they make the move. All right. But this verse is not about getting it right from the start. It's about being attuned to the guidance along the way. Okay, along the way. What came up in my mind was this visual of like you got a blindfold and and you are walking the path. and you're waiting for the person to tell you how to go. But the person really has to see you move, right? So you start walking straight, and then the person says, go left. You know what I mean? But you have to start moving before the person can guide you. But it's like you got a blindfold on and you're waiting to say, okay, you want the person to say, okay, take one step, now take another step. Go straight, go forward. But the person can only move you as you move, right? Because if they say go straight, or if they start before you start, then it's as if you're not on the journey. And if a guide is there to guide you, then they're actually there to assist you as you move. And that is a divine free will for you. So as you go, you will hear this voice. Now, what happens? Sometimes we just don't want to hear that voice. The voice is saying, hey, do something different. Hey, go in a different direction. And you like, yeah, that's scary. Yeah, that's scary. Because I always had this thing where I be telling God, listen, God, I hear stories where you done told people to pack up their stuff and, go move down south or go do this. This don't come do don't do me like that. Cause I may hear it, but it's gonna take me a minute to like, so you want me to pack all my stuff? Like I'll be so impressed with people who, that ain't how you gonna give me that message, guy. Like it gotta be something tied to that. If y'all know what I'm saying, put a three in the chat for me, right? So, and then other things like that I hear because I'm constantly in conversation with God, and so one of these other things is where people say like they seen stuff like they seen like the guy walk down and come in front of them. I see God. No, that ain't how this gonna work. Cause see, if you just pop up and show up in front of me and think you gonna talk to me in the dark, or like, yeah, that probably's not gonna work for me, right? I'm gonna be so scared that you gonna be talking, but in my mind, I'm just gonna be frazzled. Like I'm not built for that. I'm used to rats and roaches. I'm scared. I'm scary. You know what I mean? Dogs chasing me on my bike when I'm little. Yep, that's gonna trigger me if you just pop up out of nowhere and feel like you can talk to me, which is why I do feel like the first time I heard from God, I was sitting on the side of a tub and it was a small whisper that said, now why you say you don't hear from me? Right? It wasn't this because in that small whisper, it was like I could receive that. You know what I mean? And even now I feel like the way that he speaks to me is in these small like guiding type of things that's not overwhelming for me. All right, I just made that all about me, but I'm saying that our personal relationship, God, whether you turn to the left or right, your ear will hear a voice behind you saying, this is the way, walk in it. And you have to activate that way, right? And you can have this kind of dialogue with God with how you talk and how you move, all right, in that relationship, all right, and how you receive messages and things like that. But again, think about the blindfold. You have to move, right? You have to activate yourself. You have to go so that the guide can guide you and say, yep, keep going straight, go left, go right, do this. And then we have to be willing to to follow those directions. And I, like I said, like packing up and go, I would literally have to get a therapist, but I would have to unpack that. You know what I mean? What that would mean. And that's again knowing my obstacles and knowing where I have resistance at. And we have it, right? We have resistance in certain areas. You know what I mean? That I have to unpack before I make that. And so a big part of this life lesson and just all the life lessons is to say, where is your resistance at? And why haven't you gotten the help yet? If you know that that's your block, why haven't you sought out a therapist or a coach or something like that? If these lessons are insightful, why haven't you done the thing so that you can what? Clean the mirror so you can get the clarity you need to move forward at the next step. Okay. So listen, this verse, whether you turn to the left or the right, your ears will hear a voice behind you saying, this is the way, walk in it. Isaiah 30 and 31. This is really confirmation again that many people long for, but often wait to hear before they make the move. All right, I want you to know that you don't always hear direction before you walk. Sometimes you hear God speak to you as you move. So peace catches up with you in your movement. All right, clarity grows and obedience. All right. This verse really gives you permission to stop idealizing, okay, perfectionism, and instead really value led the present led process. All right. So together these verses gently pull you out of anxiety, right? By saying the anxiety of saying, I can't afford to mess up. What if I miss God's will? I will know, I have to know everything before I start. It more invites you to trusting your growth, right? Trusting your God, trusting the God within you, and then trusting that even a detour isn't a death sentence, you guys. Listen, the path is clear as you walk in alignment, not as you wait for certainty. All right. Not as you wait for certainty. All right. Put a heart in the chat if that makes sense. And let's see how we're going to put this into practice. So today we put this into practice by your action steps. Okay, name one decision you've been avoiding. All right. Number two, write down what you're afraid of might happen, right? And then what is the truth that you can anchor in instead? And then number three, really choose one micro action to really take this week that really honors your movement over perfection, okay? That really honors your movement over perfection. And here's the journal prompt. What decision am I avoiding? And what fear do I need to release so that I can walk in peace? So that I can walk in peace. All right. Our affirmation for today: I do not fear regret. I embrace responsibility and I walk with wisdom and gratitude. Okay. I do not fear regret. I embrace responsibility and I walk with wisdom and gratitude. All right. And then our daily intention. Okay. Today, I choose clarity over fear, trust over perfection, and gratitude over paralysis. Okay. All right. Okay. And the bonus, right? Make a decision today, even a small one, right? That you've been deferring. So make a decision today, even a small one that you've been deferring. Write it down and then just thank yourself for choosing it. All right. Just thank yourself for choosing it. All right. And then you all know that I'm gonna have that call, that challenge, and this charge, right? So I'm calling and I'm asking, what decision have you been deferring? What decision have you been deferred? And then I'm gonna challenge you with this. What truth are you choosing to move forward with today? And then I charge you with this. Listen, go shape your life with peace, with perspective, and with power. If this session gave you permission to stop fearing the wrong decision, right? And it resonated with you and you're walking away with insight today, you already know what to do. Drop a fire in the chat for me. Drop a fire in the chat for me. And let's celebrate our growth together, you guys. Let's celebrate our growth together. And you already know if this session really woke something up in you, then this is exactly the insight that we explore in those weekly dabs at Project Life, where we don't just reflect, you know what, we help to reshape the story. So join us at Project Life, where we turn theory into practice, we build emotional muscle and discipline, and we help you stop feeling stuck and really start feeling supported and seen. All right. This is the last week where you can join that project for $47 a month. I want you to remember this. All right. I want you to remember this. If you can shape it in your mind, you can have it in your life. And what does life stand for? If you can shape it in your mind, you can have it in your love of self. If you can shape it in your mind, you can have it with interactions with others. If you can shape it in your mind, you can have it in your focus. And if you can shape it in your mind, you can experience it in your energy and in your emotions. Listen, I love you. I love you. I love you. I'll see you tomorrow for Energy Audit Thursday, you guys, where we're talking about, are you deferring decisions out of habit, right? And why is that? Okay. I love you. I love you. I love you. And I will see you tomorrow for that life lesson. Till later.